Well, hello everyone and welcome back to the shop. My name's Kevin Cheney and this is my blacksmith shop, Red Maple Forge. And today we are doing trolls crosses. So trolls caught across, basically protection, strength, blah, blah, blah. I did these last year for my medieval shows. As a necklace pendant, and pretty well I just used whatever steel I had, little pieces of steel floating around. This year I'm actually going to be making them a little bit more consistent than last year. So I am going to be starting off with 1/4 inch round, and these guys are 5 inches long. Now I haven't tried doing it with the 5 inch long piece, so we'll see how they look at the end. I was originally thinking of going 7 inches, which is the same that I do for my cloak pins, but I figured that would be a little too big for a necklace, so I shrunk it down 2 inches, and we'll see how it would go. So I got 8 pieces cut. I already got 4 in the forge. So they'll just take a couple more seconds, and we will get forging those. Not running the forge very hot today. It's only about 5 psi, which is pretty well the lowest I put for forging. I might go a little bit lower, like 4 psi on some stuff, but normally I'm at 5 psi for this, for the 1/4 inch up to about 3/8 roughly when I'm doing a batch run. First thing I should say is tomorrow, on Thursday, I will not be doing a show. I have other arrangements for that day, so I will not be here tomorrow. But I'll be back on Friday. And doing Scrap Metal Friday. I already know what I'm going to be doing. I did it already once on a Friday show. I don't even know how many weeks back now. I'm going to be doing more of those feathers made out of angle iron. So I'll be doing at least 2 of them, but I'm going to be changing it up a little bit this time. I will be using the press to make those. So going back to the Trolls Cross, it's pretty simple. We're going to do first a taper on the one side. We're going to go square, octagon, and then round. We're going to try and make nice clean tapers as much as we can. We're going to throw that back in the forge. We're going to repeat it on all 4. I am using my 2-pound hammer today. And pretty well anything under 1/2 inch I normally use my 2-pound hammer. This one is a cross peen. And this was actually, that cross peen was actually bought from Princess Auto, which is the Canadian version of Harbor Freight. It originally had a fiberglass handle, but it got really quick changed into a hickory handle. I can't stand fiberglass handles, so I find after the abuse that I give my hammers, within a year, all my fiberglass handles get loose. And I don't mean a little bit loose, I mean dangerously loose. So a lot of them have been changed over to a wooden handle. And once a fiberglass handle loosens up, there is really no way of tightening it up. Where with a wood handle, you can usually put a wedge in, and that'll tighten it up. So now that we tapered on all four, we're just going to come in and do a simple scroll, just a little curl on the end. I'm going for a little bit bigger today. Just a little bit like that. And then we are going to flip it around. And again, we're going to repeat that on all four. And when I do my curls, I'm kind of doing glance and blows. I'm not coming right down on it. It's quite light blows. And right at this point in time, this is actually the easiest part of these guys. So the troll cross I'm making, I've seen a couple of variations. This is actually a quite simple variation on it. So now we're going to the other side of them. So the side just needs a basic taper, first square, octagon, and then we're going to plenish it. Got a little bit of a mishit, so I'm going to see if I can work that out. Sorry, I just have to check an email. Cool. So what that, I'll talk about what that email was about. So if you've been with this channel for the past little bit, once in a while I will talk about some of the pottery tools I make, and this particular one is my ribs, the potter's ribs. And pretty well they're used to, they're different shapes, and they're used to you know, glide across the surface of the pottery work. Do we even have one here? I got one of my old ones, I think. Anyways, they come with different shapes and all that. Well, I I've started making them, and I'm getting them in the hands of some of the pottery guilds out there in the various regions across Canada to try out and provide feedback. And that one was just one of those particular guilds that say, yeah, we'll try them out and give you feedback. That'd be cool. So, yeah, that was that one. So I'm just curling it. I'm keeping the curl on the same side that I did the first curl. Now I'm going to go fully into the forge. Now this one, I don't necessarily know what size jig I'm going to need to curl this around, or to round this. So the first one might end up being a little bit wonky, depending on how I could judge this. So, but that's getting ahead. Just gonna finish up these last two, getting the curls in the, so I have a curl on both sides. And I'm making sure that I put the curls on both sides. Now, because I'm using round, and I'm kind of keeping it round, it's not critical that I have them aligned because I can twist them out if need be. But I find it's just easier to take the time and look right now than, than trying to straighten it out afterwards. It's just easier. So we got all four with a curl, a taper and curl on both sides. Now I'm gonna do my best on judging what size jig I need. I'm actually gonna probably go with my jig for hooks that use, this is, I think it's 3/4. Should be 3/4. Yeah, 3/4 inch, or the metric equivalent. So I'm gonna chuck that up into the vise. And I don't know if this is gonna be the right size, but we'll give it a shot. And sorry, I'm just gonna move the camera right now. So I keep on forgetting to flip you so you don't get nauseous when I move you. If anything, it's more for myself afterwards when I do review the videos. Oh. So we'll see where I'm at. Maybe a little lower. Yep. So, with like almost everything I use a jig for, I'm getting a water bucket up into a place that's easy to grab, because what I want to do is I'm actually going to quench one side, like one curl that I'm going to lock into my jig, and that will help prevent that curl from getting destroyed and, well, just getting squished when I use the jig. And I want the curl to be on the outside, because when I curl this around, and I already know this is going to be a little too small. So I'm going to reopen that up before I mess it too much. And I'm going to see what I have jig-wise for another. I'm assuming now probably 1 inch would be better. But I don't think I have 1 inch. I have 1 1/4. So I'll use 1 1/4. And I'll keep my hook jig in the vise as well to use as a stop. This hook jig is the only one that actually has my hook jigs that are already set up for a certain hook are the only ones that actually have a stop welded onto it. Any of my other pipe jigs or round jigs that I have that are like open, doesn't have a stop, and I just use the hook jig as a stop. If that kind of makes sense. So again, going in, quenching to one side, the curl on one side, and going into the jig, and hope that I have set this up enough. So this is gonna be, because I already bent this before, it's not conforming to the jig as nicely as I want it to. So I have to come in with a hammer and just clean it up ever so slightly. And I might have lost too much heat, but I'm gonna see if I can get my bending fork in here and just finish that curl off a little bit. This is gonna be a little bit too big. So yeah, I think 1 inch is probably better. Unfortunately, I don't have a 1 inch available right now. I don't think. So, see if, so that's how that one turned out. So I'm actually gonna take a second and see if I have something that is 1 inch. I don't believe I do. Just double check this. Yep, this is 1 inch. Now the problem with this guy is he is actually for a bender, and I don't have him welded on anything, or the post that I need to actually get down in there. So unfortunately, I got to figure out how to actually get this guy to sit in my jig, well, my vise, sorry. Don't mind the long bit on this. I'm hoping that if I can put this in and still have enough room so I can have a stop. But be tight enough that I can actually we'll go back to that guy. I'm hoping that my vise can clamp down enough on this that when I do curl this over, it won't like move all that much. So I'm gonna actually apply a second clamp. I'm gonna apply a clamp on the vise just to help a little bit to hold it in. As you can tell, this was not overly planned very well before the show. So the clamp I'm having on here is just to hold it a little bit nicer down. I'm hoping that's enough to hold it. So I'm going to grab a piece that I haven't bent yet. And we'll see how this this jig is going to work. So this is not ideal with that thing's able to roll. So I'm going to get it as close as I can right now. So that's not too bad how it is right now, but I do have to bring them one behind the other. So I'm going to put that guy aside for now. And I'm going to get the other three to that same stage. Sorry for the reach. Yep. So that's number 3 like that. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to actually tweak some of these, if I can, with my tongs. Oh, no, it's too cold. I was going to try and pull them so that they're better aligned, or misaligned in this case, so I can get them a little better. So this one is way too big right now, so I have to pull it back ever so slightly. Because this is not the best jig for it. So we're getting closer to the shape I need with this. And it's really just pulling that a little bit more up. So I'm bringing out my flat bit tongs just to see if I can hold it a little bit better. Oh, where's my scrolling tongs? And see if I can actually get this to twist without disturbing too much of anything else. And I played with it too long. It cooled down too much. So now this is a different one. I'm going to just pull the scrolling tongs out. I'm going to move the one side down. Then I'm going to start seeing if I can scroll this ever so slightly over without making it completely disoriented. Misshaped that little curl there. So I gotta kink that back in. In all honesty, this one might be where I want them. So right now I'm just at the anvil trying to shape this one a little bit better. I'll just quench this so I can hold it. And there's the first one. And I think that's actually going to be a decent size for a pendant. I think so. So let's get the rest of them to that stage. This is really one of those times where the steel will cool down quite fast. So you gotta move quite fast too, which is not, when you're doing something for the first time this kind of way, it is not the easiest to think that fast. So yeah, I got a little too cool on that one. Whoa! Drop cooler. What is the longest project you've done? Do you mean time-wise or like physical lengthwise? Because time-wise, I had one project here for almost a year. Lengthwise, was actually was more of a welding project than a forging project. And that was a gate that was, I think, close to 70 feet. If I'm not, 70, 80 feet, somewhere in there. So that's the two answers. A year, if you're talking about time-wise. I think it was actually worked out to be like 11 months and like 1 week. But that was when I was doing part-time. So hour-wise, it was still, I think at the end it was like 115 hours. So it was still probably about, like at my current timeline, like how I work and stuff like that, it was probably still take me a solid 3 to 4 weeks to get that same project done if I was doing it now as a full-time smith. Yeah, I think that's good, how this one is. So these particular guys, I only sell in person. I don't sell online. So I'm a little bit more lenient on myself with how consistent they are, because the people buying them will actually be able to see them. Well, this one looks really good, actually. Yeah, I'm actually, so I sell, there's 3 medieval shows, like medieval fairs, that are weekend long here in Ontario that I sell at. I also do the occasional kind of like farmer's market. So what I call a farmer's market is basically your 1-day, 4-hour event kind of thing, is in my mind is a farmer's market kind of thing, or craft show. And then, so I have a couple of those. I don't do many of the small ones. But the other 2 shows I have is, one is medieval themed again, and that's a 1 full day show, which is in September. And then I do 1 show, which is a 1-day show in October, which is more of witch kind of themed. So the whole spiritual, witchy kind of thing. And funny enough, the witch show that I do in October is actually one of my better shows, if you consider like how much time I will spend trying to sell stuff. So like in person, I actually have a lot more products that I will sell than like online. Sometimes that's just because of sheer pain in the butt to ship certain things. But also it allows me to be a little bit more creative in person because it's easier for a customer to actually like see what I'm giving you as a value than from, you know, some random picture on a website. So my more unique products, let's put it that way, is in person. Not Stanley, hey, how you doing today? So a lot of my stuff with the medieval fairs are pretty well obviously wrapped around medieval stuff. So I've done spears, arrowheads, your cloak pins. Sorry, I'm fighting with this as I'm trying to list off stuff. I don't get into knives all that much. Some of that is due to liability. And not every show is as welcoming to having knives sold. So I try to stay away from it as much as I can. But on top of the medieval stuff, I also do Viking kind of theme stuff and Celtic kind of stuff as well. It tends to blend quite nicely. So that was the first 4 done. So I'm moving on to the next 4. And I'm only doing 8 today on these guys because even though they do sell, they don't sell in huge numbers. If I was able to sell even half of these at one of my shows, I would be very happy with. And some of that is just the amount of people that knows what a troll cross is and what's the symbol behind it. I definitely sell more like cloak pins than I will of these guys. My biggest sellers at those shows are going to be cloak pins and hairpins. By far the bigger sellers. So like the first batch, I'm going to be just tapering these guys. You know, the whole square, octagon, Flemish kind of thing. So I do, if you're new here, I do a lot of stuff in batches, small batches, of like 4 or 5. So I'll have 4 or 5 irons in the forge at a time. And normally that's just because I don't want to wait for my steel to heat up. So I kind of am very much one of these people that just wants to keep going. To be honest, the cameras I'm using are nothing fancy. They're actually technically just like USB webcams. So the main one, which is the one that shows the most of the shop, that is a Dispatch. The brand is Dispatch. I don't know. It is a 4K camera, but it only does 30 frames per second. So it's not that great for live shots. Well, working shots. And then the camera that's focused on my anvil, I'm gonna have to think about that one. What is the brand on that one? I don't know, actually. It's one of the Amazon ones. Neither of them, I will say, are perfect. The one that's on my anvil is actually a better one. And can I see the name? No, I'll have to look it up. But the one on the anvil actually has RGB lights, which is really weird. Does this say on the front? I don't know. So yeah, I'm not using any fancy like Canon or Sony. I am looking at one of the OBS bot ones that actually can do tracking as well. Now, as for the mic I'm using, I know that. That's a DJI mic. And most of my videos, like long format videos, not the live streams, I was using just my cell phone, which is a Samsung Galaxy S21. So I'm not using very high-end cameras at all. I'm using slightly better than the camera that comes on my laptop. Trying to see if yeah, it only has the HD mark, and I don't know what company that is. Look it up. Just give me a second and I'll look it up. Because I haven't been totally happy with these guys yet, I haven't posted them on like my little blurb down in the description. So the camera that's on the anvil, it is by a company called NB Power. So Nancy Bravo Power, and it's their 1080p camera. 60 frames per second. And it's actually the better camera of the two, I think, but it actually has zoom capabilities even though I'm not using it. Yeah, cameras have gone like so much better than what it was even 5 years ago. Like the affordability and like quality of your budget cameras have got really good. These cameras, I will say, are really low budget. I think my Anvil one, I think it was only like $50 Canadian, and I think the main one of the whole shop was only, I think, not much more, like $60, maybe 65 Canadian. But I am looking at my options for a wired network camera, so I can actually have a camera upstairs in my grinding room, because right now I haven't been able to show you guys that really. And unfortunately my Wi-Fi in the shop here, if I'm doing something else when I'm streaming, it gets really bad with dropping stuff, like dropping frames and all that. So the stream goes kind of junky. Hence why I don't use my cell phone when I'm doing these streams. So we're just doing the 2 curls, just like before. And that whole thing is going to go into the forge, get a nice heat all the way around. And I'm trying to make both curls as close as possible on both sides, size-wise. So again, when I'm doing my curls, I'm just doing kind of glancing blows, not heavy at all. I'm constantly going to the side to see how it's going. And knowing how to hit the steel to get it to do what you want it to do is just 17 years of practice. So 15 and a half, almost 16 years part-time. And then I've been doing full-time for just a little bit over a year now. But even I do still make mistakes. Come on. That's the one downside of working on more than one in the forge at a time. They do tend to like to get stuck together in the forge. So I'm gonna get all four of them to about that stage before I finish them off, just because right now if I try to put that back in the forge, it'll just tangle up with everything else. And if you're using a jig to bend these, you want to make sure that the curl is facing outwards, because when you're done rolling this around, you actually want the curls to point inwards to each other. And because we're overlapping them, you have to have them facing outwards at first. I actually want the other tongs. Actually, the two tongs I'm using right now, I didn't make. These are actually the only two tongs I have that I haven't made myself. These guys I actually bought from Princess Auto, which is Canadian Harbor Freight, basically. And I bought these when I was actually still part-time, so time to make tongs myself were a little bit tighter than what it is now. But yeah, the two tongs I am actually using right now are the only two tongs that I didn't make myself. Not that I couldn't make these tongs. They're not overly complicated. But yeah, the rest of my tongs are actually I've made in-house. A lot of it is, in the last couple of years, they've really come down in price. That for pretty basic standard tongs like the scrolling tongs I'm using to hold it against the jig, and these V-bit tongs, it's almost just better to buy than make, if you already understand the concept of making tongs. And my first blacksmith course, I actually made a pair of tongs. So they're 17 years old, and I'm going to show them in a second once I get the forge back loaded. So that's, I did use them already today, but these guys are my V-bit, my flat bit tongs that I made 17 years ago. And that was all hand forged. Well, the reins were drawn out with a power hammer, but the bit of it, or like the working end, is all was all done by hand. I've done a couple of streams on Tuesdays, is when I make tools, and I've done a couple of streams now making tongs. I still want to experiment with, get a pair of the tong blanks, or the rapid tongs, and see how they come together. I know they've been available for a while, but now they're on Amazon for relatively cheap for what I think they should be. See, and I have a plasma cutter and I cut stuff. Yeah, I think this guy's gonna be good. Yeah, funny enough though, I know with all the tariffs and all that, but my steel price is lower than what it was last year. Sorry, I should rephrase that. My sheet steel price is lower than what it was last year. So I don't know, but it has caused many headaches for me from a selling online point of view, and trying to figure out what I can ship, what I can't ship, and all that other fun stuff. Like, I think it's great that you want to support your own country and all that, and make manufacturing back home and stuff like that. I'm a very strong believer in support your local economy and stuff like that. Is it the best way to do it with tariffs? Yeah, I'm not an expert. I'm just a dumb blacksmith. This is, these guys are definitely something that if I was doing a lot more of, I would probably figure out a better system of making them than what I'm currently doing now. This has been a little bit more time consuming than I probably would have spent on these guys otherwise. I'm gonna do some straightening of this one on the anvil. I'm not getting it with the tongs very well, so I don't even know if this guy will fit on the horn. Oh, he just. So yeah, if you don't have a vise and not able to make jigs and stuff like that, this can be done on the horn if you have a small enough horn. Yeah, we'll go with that one. Yeah, that looks good. I'm at a point where I don't even know which one I'm on now. I think that was 6. That was number 6 done. Again, with these guys being so small, it's hard to know where to grab with tongs, so you're not in the way of hitting it and stuff. Eek. Got a nice heat on that guy. I think I'm done with the jig for now. I think the rest is going to be using my tongs to tweak them a little bit, my scrolling tongs and whatever other tongs I can grab, as well as straightening up on the anvil. And I will tell you that I didn't know how useful scrolling tongs were until I owned a pair and started using them a little bit more than, especially when I'm doing little stuff like this. Hoping I have enough heat in this just to do a little bit more tweaking. It has got a little bit cool. I'm gonna reheat that guy. He's got a little bit too cool to finish what I want. I think he'll be okay. There he is. And that guy is my last one. So these guys, like many of my other things, I will wire wheel these, and they'll get the beeswax finish. And as for rusting and stuff like that, the beeswax will help prevent it a little bit from rusting, but also because I'm making these to be like kind of a necklace thing, the oils from the skin and stuff will protect it as well. I've only had one person that actually had troubles with it rusting, and that was because, funny enough, he's another vendor that comes to the shows with me. Well, he does the same shows I do on a lot of the shows. But he would be out in rain with it on, and eventually it did rust on him. But I found that for most people, it's okay. So anyways, that's 8 of them done. That would be enough for my show in 2 weeks. So it's not this weekend, but it's the following weekend. So yeah, it's actually my first big show where it's like a whole weekend. I've done a couple of little ones already, but it's the first one that's a big one. So it's kind of, what are people going to buy this year? Yeah, it's always, every show is different. So it's always nerve-wracking and a little stressful before coming, but it's all good. It's all good. So anyways, that's the show for today. Tomorrow I will be off. I'm taking the day off, so I won't be on tomorrow, but I'll be back on Friday, 1:30 Eastern time, to play with some scrap metal. I already know what I'm doing. If you've been here a while before, you've already seen me do this kinda. I plan on taking a couple of pieces of angle iron and make them into a feather. And the ones I'm doing is actually going to be an incense burner or an incense holder. So much like the one I did previous way back almost a month ago, if not more. So, but I'm going to be changing up. I'm going to be using the press on it because I plan on getting 2 done. And I'm not going to limit myself to using just manual hand tools. I'm going to also be pulling in some of the bigger tools as well. So I'll see you guys Friday, hopefully. Thanks for watching, and yeah, have a good day.